What a case here. Yes, this is a case here. In Orlando, Florida, January 2024. God bless the child killed, and God bless their family and friends.
People who live near the now empty home are still trying to make sense of it all.
I can't wrap my head around it, so it is good to know that headway is being made in the case. Knowing that a small child was involved, it was heartbreaking. Absolutely heartbreaking.
Made in the case of an 18-month-old baby who was shot to death inside her home in Palm Coast. This happened back in September, and her uncle was arrested on a probation violation back then.
In November, a grand jury indicted him on manslaughter charges. Well, today we learned his father has been arrested too. Fox 35's Chris Lindsay explains why.
People here are at a loss for words after hearing the suspect's father allegedly tried to help him cover up what happened. The sheriff, on the other hand, was not surprised at all.
This case is a prime example that the apple didn't fall far from the tree.
Like father, like son. Sheriff Rick Staley says,
During the investigation, it became apparent the crime scene had been tampered with.
When 21-year-old C.J. Nelson Jr. allegedly shot and killed his 18-month-old niece, investigators believe he called his dad, C.J. Nelson Sr., for help.
He provided instructions on how to stage the scene. Using a T-shirt to prevent and wipe off fingerprints, he instructed witnesses to provide an alibi for himself and his son.
Nelson Sr. was arrested at the jail on Friday while putting money in his son's inmate account. He's been charged with tampering with evidence and providing false information to a law enforcement officer.
That's not being a good parent. Hold your kids accountable.
At first, the younger Nelson was arrested for violating probation. He was later charged with manslaughter with a firearm. People who live near the now empty home are still trying to make sense of it all.
I can't wrap my head around it, so it is good to know that headway is being made in the case. Knowing that a small child was involved, it was heartbreaking. Absolutely heartbreaking.
Nelson Sr. was released on a $15,000 bond, and the sheriff says he's looking into ways to get that revoked. He also says there could be other arrests in this case. Reporting in Palm Coast, Chris Lindsay, Fox 35 News.
Well, deputies believe the shooting was an accident, but since the younger Nelson is a convicted felon who shouldn't have had a gun in the first place, they're charging him with manslaughter. An inside look at a fuel theft operation. This man is accused of stealing more than 500 gallons of diesel from a gas station in Orange County.
Deputies say he did it through a hole in the bottom of the van while they saw him driving it. That's pretty wild. Fox 35's Patrick Perez live in Orange County with this story. So, Patrick, this was pretty elaborate.
It really was, John. This is something that investigators have been dealing with for several years, especially in South Florida. It involves this criminal trying to steal gas from underground using some of these fill pipes here. And not only is this dangerous for the person who is doing this, but it's also dangerous for everybody else who's driving around them.
A crime at the pump that can be extremely dangerous.
This is like a bomb going down the street.
This is the man Orange County deputies say stole $1,600 worth of diesel at the racetrack on Central Florida Parkway. He's 56-year-old Osnel Martinez, and he's in big trouble.
Someone hits that, or that hits a school bus, you've got a big crisis on your hands.
According to an arrest affidavit, Martinez led deputies on a chase Monday evening after they learned he was stealing diesel. After they caught him, investigators searched through the van he was driving and made a surprising discovery. Deputies say they found containers filled with roughly 550 gallons of diesel, but that's not all.
Investigators also found inside the van, in the center console between the two front seats, a hole at the bottom, which they believe he was using to steal the fuel to avoid getting caught.
Ned Bowman, executive director of the Florida Petroleum Marketers and Convenience Store Association, explains the process.
What happens is the vehicle pulls over the top of the fill pipe where the gasoline trucks, big tanker trucks would come in and drop their loads. They pull over the top of it. They pull the cover off of the floorboard. They drop a hose in, which is hooked up to a pump
and they pump the diesel fuel and or gasoline out into a bladder or tanks in the back of the minivan.
Bowman also says criminals typically sell the stolen fuel to truckers, costing the gas stations and us more money in the end.
Us, the public, are paying more at the pump because of it, and the more we can control it and work with law enforcement to break these rings, the better off the citizens of the state of Florida are.
Ed Martinez remains in the Orange County Jail tonight facing several charges, including grand theft and resisting arrest. We're live in Seminole County tonight. I'm Patrick Perez, Fox 25 News.
A student facing charges after allegedly joking about having a gun on the campus of Galaxy Middle School.
Others overheard that and reported it. That school is in Deltona. Deputies say there was no gun actually brought to campus. That student's being charged with campus disruption and false report of a weapon.
In Brevard County, a daughter accused of stabbing her mother to death. It happened at a home on Monday in Barefoot Bay, which is south of Palm Bay. Deputies say 49-year-old Kelly Tinsley and her mother, 69-year-old Cheryl Muir, got into a fight, and Tinsley ended up stabbing Muir.
The daughter did call in and advised that her mother had been hurt, and that's what initiated the response down. It appears from what we can determine based on the condition of the body that there was a time delay between when this incident actually occurred and when the daughter actually called us.
Tinsley is now charged with manslaughter, and she's behind bars with no bond.
Well, speaking of Arizona, a young pup in a rescue decided he wanted to have a bit of a wild night. Cameras capturing this party animal, how he broke loose to get a midnight snack. Dominique Newton shows us how he made his great escape.
At the Lost Our Home Pet Rescue in Tempe, all was sound in the middle of the night. Until one of the rescue dogs, King, decided enough was enough.
The alarm went off. It was like, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the morning, and I immediately looked to see what was going on and couldn't find anything happening. And then I saw the mess here, and I'm like, oh my God.
At Oh My was footage of King breaking out of his kennel and even trying to get his friends out to join his party. Managing to open a closed door, King decided he needed some food and drinks, making a mess, and eventually busted by a Tempe police officer.
The police actually came because he set the alarm off, and it kept going off over and over again.
Nicknamed as Mr. Clean, the Tempe police officer, who wishes to remain anonymous, got King back in his bed and ended up cleaning the aftermath of the dog's festivities.
I was looking at the footage next morning, and I saw how clean it was, like at 2 in the morning. I'm like, how is that possible? I had no idea the officers would clean up until the next morning I saw it. And I just was like, wow, he's a man, he did that.
A night that King won't forget, and surely one the police officer won't either.
It's simple. All you have to do is put the guns down. Put the guns down.
A crucial reminder here, help is available. If you or anyone you know is a victim of domestic violence, you can call the phone number there on your screen or simply text the word START to 88788.
Thanks for watching. We appreciate you. Please subscribe.